Tactical Nuke ready to fire. Security.
Hey, how's it going everybody? I'm DSpire and welcome back to a brand new video on this channel. So in today's video I'm going to be showing you a multi-class setup in Modern Warfare. So if you don't understand what I mean by multi-class setup, this can be used in Warzone or it can be used in the multiplayer side of things on Modern Warfare. And this gun can potentially, if used right, help you improve your game on multiplayer, help you get more wins on Warzone, and just generally improve your game and make you a better player. So jumping straight into things, I don't want to hold anything back because you've come to this video for the class setup and the class setup only. So the weapon I'm going to be using for the class setup is the M4A1. This gun, in my opinion, is everything you want in a gun in multiplayer and Warzone. It's got the range, it's got the damage, it's got the fire rate, it's got the control, and if used right, this weapon is good long range, close range, things like that. And like I say, it's got the mobility, so you can literally run round like using a submachine gun, but you've got the power of an assault rifle, and these all add together to make it a brilliant class. So on top of all these things that come with the weapon, the attachments I'm going to show you make it even better personally, and it sort of makes it a top end gun and something you should consider using in Warzone or multiplayer. So jumping straight into the attachments I use on this is the barrel. So I use a barrel for this, and this is the FSS 12.4 inch Predator. So this is the final barrel that you unlock in game, and this gives you sound suppression and aim down sight speed as a plus, and then the only negative is the bullet velocity. So I think this is a good sort of attachment to use for this weapon. It sort of hides you because it's got the suppressor, and if you're running into a building and you need to aim quickly, you've got the aim down sight plus, so this sort of makes it a good attachment to have. So moving on to the next attachment is the OPTIC sight, and the OPTIC sight I use for this weapon is the GI Mini Reflex. So this is about sort of midway down of the sights you unlock, and all these attachments, if you haven't ranked the gun up, I suggest ranking the gun up in multiplayer, and then you can use these attachments in Warzone if that's what you're planning to do. So the OPTIC is sort of personal preference. I always like to use an OPTIC on my weapons. I think you sort of increases the aim from further away, and I think that's what you need to consider in Warzone and multiplayer. So for the OPTIC, it's the GI Mini Reflex that I use, and you can use any of these really. It doesn't really matter which one you use, but that's the go-to for me usually. It's sort of, I think it's a good sight to use. So for that, you can choose which one you want to use. You can use the one that I'm using, or you can pick one what you prefer to use. It doesn't really matter. So moving on from the OPTIC, I use a stock on this weapon, and the stock I use is the Forged Tac CQS. So this is the final stock that's unlocked on the weapon, and this gives you aim down sight speed as a plus, and it gives you a minus of aim instability. So like I said before, on Warzone, if you're running into a building and you need to aim down the sights quickly, this is a good thing to have on your attachment, and having two attachments with aim down sight plus sort of gives you an even bigger increase of aiming down the sight, and this is useful in Warzone and multiplayer. So just above the Forged Tac QSC stock, there is a no stock attachment, and this gives you a movement speed and aim down the sight speed as a plus, and then as a minus it gives you an aim instability and a recoil control. So between these they sort of do the same thing, but I prefer to use the Forged Tac, but you can choose which one you want to use if you don't like that. So moving on to the next attachment is the ammunition. So this is the next attachment that I use, and for the ammunition I use the 60 round mag, and this is again personal preference. I'd prefer to have more ammo in my mag because, for example, if you're running into a building on multiplayer or Warzone and there's a couple of people in there, you want as much ammo as you can get to hopefully pick everybody out in the building, and if you haven't got much ammo you're going to be killing one or two people, and then you might not be able to get onto the third, and then you're just going to die. So I'd prefer to have more ammo, and that is why I use this 60 round mag, and they've all got different pros and cons, so it's sort of a personal preference, but I would highly suggest going for this 60 round mag. So the final attachment I use on the weapon is a PERK. So on the PERK slot I use sleight of hand, and this is again personal preference. For all the weapons, if it's on Warzone, multiplayer, or whatever Call of Duty, I always like to be able to reload faster. So if you're in a couple of gunfights quite close together, you want to be able to reload your weapon faster and jump into the engagements quicker. And if you've got sleight of hand on your weapon, you've got the ability to do so. So for example, if you run into a building, you kill somebody, you need to reload as quick as you can in case somebody runs into the same building, and you've got the opportunity and the equal chance to kill them if they run into the building. And this is why I personally think and highly suggest you should use sleight of hand on this weapon. So for the attachments, that's everything covered, and that is all personal preference. But for this class setup, if you're wanting to have it sort of a top end weapon, I'd highly suggest following what I've said in this video. And if you haven't got any of these attachments unlocked, I'd suggest going on to multiplayer, ranking the gun up, and then you can use it in Warzone if that's what you want to do. So because this is a multi-class setup, this is sort of catered towards Warzone and multiplayer. So the next couple of things that I suggest on this class setup are going to be for Warzone, and I highly suggest you put these on if you're going to be playing Warzone with this class. So for the primary weapon, we've got it all sorted. We've got the M4A1, like I said, with all the attachments I've mentioned, and that is a high-end sort of primary weapon that you want to be using in Warzone and multiplayer. So for the secondary weapon, this is catered towards Warzone. It can be used in multiplayer, but it works best in Warzone, and this is sort of a personal preference of what I would like to run on this class. So for the secondary weapon, I've got the sniper rifle, and this is the AX50. There's 3 snipers in total, and that's the sort of the best one, I think. Personally, works the best and sort of gets less hit markers and things like that. So in my opinion, you want to be running a sniper rifle as the second weapon. If you're playing Warzone and somebody's on a building, you can just switch straight to the sniper and you've got a higher chance of killing them from long range, and it just works out well getting them wins in Warzone. So for this sniper, the attachments, I don't have many attachments on it. I don't think you need many things on this. It's sort of good straight out the box, but something I do run on this weapon is the OPTIC, and this is the thermal sniper scope. So because this is going to be used in Warzone, the sort of sniper side of things, I put a thermal sniper scope on this weapon because if you've played Warzone, you know there's so many different buildings, hills, bushes, everything that people can be hiding in, and if you've got this, you can sort of give it a quick sweep and see if there's any people in the area, and that all depends if they're using a perk to counteract this, but if they're not, you'll be able to see them straight away because they light up sort of white, and they just stand out a lot more if they're in a bush or in smoke or something like that, and I think this works well on the sniper. So the only other attachment I use for the sniper is the PERK, and this is sleight of hand. Same again, I like to have my weapons reload faster. You can sort of reload after killing somebody and jump straight into an engagement faster, and you've got more opportunity of killing them. So for the sniper rifle, that's the only attachments I use. Sort of personal preference. If you think something works better than what I've said, or if there's something that I haven't mentioned and you want to put on, it's all personal preference and feel free to do so, but I'm just showing you a weapon that I think works well with getting wins, ranking up in multiplayer and all things like that. So if you want to rank up faster and improve your game, I highly suggest copying exactly what I mentioned in this video. So for the perks, this is sort of leaning towards Warzone, but these can be used in multiplayer. So for the first perk, I use Cold-Blooded. So I like this perk because it counteracts the thermals, like I said. So if anybody's using the same class setup, you won't be shown on the thermal sight, and it's sort of undetectable by AI targeting systems and things like that, and it's just a solid perk to use in Warzone and multiplayer. So the second perk that I'm going to be using in this class setup is Overkill, and this is literally just so you can have a sniper as your secondary weapon, and I highly suggest using this in Warzone because, as I mentioned before, it'll help you get them kills from long range and hopefully get you them wins in Warzone. So the number 3 perk for this class setup is Tracker, and this is a solid perk for Warzone and multiplayer. It doesn't really matter which one you're playing, it works well in both, but for Warzone it does work well. If you're chasing somebody through a building, you'll be able to look at the floor and it'll light up where they've ran, and you can literally follow where they've gone and kill them and hopefully get the win. So this is a solid perk to use in multiplayer and Warzone. So moving on to the final thing of this class setup, and these are the lethal and tactical equipment. So the lethal, I use a C4. This is solid on multiplayer, this is solid on Warzone. It doesn't really matter what you're playing, but for Warzone it is good. If somebody, for example, is camping in a corner in a building and you know they're there, you can literally just throw this in and get the kill hopefully, and it just stops you running into a building and getting killed by somebody sat there. So this is a solid lethal to use. So for the final thing of this class setup, there's the tactical, and for me personally I use a stim. So there's 2 that you can use for this class setup, sort of 2 solid things that you can use for multiplayer and Warzone, and that is the stim and the heartbeat sensor. So the heartbeat sensor works well in Warzone because you can, if you're getting towards the end or any time in the game, you can use this to locate where people are in game and sort of go straight towards them. And the stim works well, same again on multiplayer and Warzone. This just, if you're in a sort of a gunfight and they've damaged you, you can run behind a corner, stim up, and then jump straight back out, and they might be low. So this is a solid thing to use in Warzone and multiplayer. But like I said, it's personal preference what you want to use. You can pick for yourself which you think will work best. Yeah, so that's the class setup. As I mentioned, this is a multi-class setup, so this works just as well in multiplayer and just as well in Warzone. So you decide which one you want to play, but I think that this class setup currently will help you get wins in Warzone, just make you a better player, and then if you move on to multiplayer, it'll help you get kills, rank up faster, and just genuinely, like I say, just become a better player. Yeah, so I think that's about it for me anyway. Let me know down below in the comments what you think of this class setup, or let me know if there's a better class setup that you're using, or what you think I should change for this class setup. Just let me know what you think down below. I personally think this is a solid class. This is what I use for my custom class in Warzone and multiplayer. I feel like it's just a solid weapon currently. Over time, weapons might change, class setups will change because weapons get nerfed and increased and things like that, so this will continue to change, but for this moment in time, this is a solid class setup. Yeah, so I think that's about it from me anyway. If you like the video, don't forget to hit that like button, and if you're new around here, don't forget to subscribe. It's much appreciated. Thanks a lot for watching. Peace.